Kang and the Multiverse Saga was good. It just required a higher level of patience, one that we as fans afforded Infinity Saga, but just were unwilling to give to the multiverse and Kang because we suck as fans. I mean, not you guys watching specifically though. You guys are the best. Please like, share, and subscribe. Keep watching. Tell your friends. Tell
You
everyone.
guys specifically rock.
But in
yo,
general, we suck.
okay, talk your talk. Talk your talk. I can 100% agree with that. Because we gave, how long was it? 15 years?
No, 12, 11 years.
11 years for the Infinity Saga. For how many projects? Like 20 18 projects? 22 projects?
Yeah.
22 projects. And we allotted them 6 years for 33 projects.
33. Which goes along. It's not just the fans. Obviously, Marvel is making some poor decisions.
Yes.
Case in point, 33 projects in 6 years is absurd. That should never be a thing.
That being said, though, I do think that we as fans harbor a responsibility to the rush that they felt like they had to do throughout the Multiverse Saga. Because, like, what I think they should have asked themselves, right? Like, what worked in the Infinity Saga? Like, why did the Infinity Saga work so well? In my opinion, it was like this like lovely blueprint of storytelling that they had, where like there was the Iron Man trilogy, told the story of Iron Man and more. The Cap trilogy, the Thor trilogy, and all of that set up the Avengers trilogy, right? There was like, and the Guardians trilogy, right? Like they had like sets of trilogies that told the story to set up the Avengers trilogies that eventually told like the whole, right? Like it was kind of like a beautiful like scaffolding that they had of like where every film mattered.
A blueprint, if you will, that they just threw out the window.
Multiverse. Is there a single sequel to a project in the Multiverse Saga?
No. Let us know in the comments if you can think of any. The only one that comes up, I guess, is season 2 of Loki.
Loki season 1 and season 2.
And technically, right. What If? The multiple seasons of What If?
But I'm not counting
that. Yeah.
No, that doesn't count.
That's absurd.
That is absurd, right? Like to me, they should have found the new set of characters to run these trilogies in order to like create the next Avengers trilogy. Right? Like
who? Let us know in the comments who you think should have led the multiverse. And Lucas, who do you think should have been the big teams or characters?
I think that the very first movie coming out of like Loki season 2, right? Or like Loki season 1, even like when the Multiverse Saga started, the first movie coming out to me should have been the Fantastic Four. Like they should have been trilogy number 1, right? Kind of like Iron Man was, that just like, but even more so, where like I think that the Fantastic Four trilogy should have led with the multiverse should have been explained and exposed and like navigated through the Fantastic Four trilogy. Then I think like Sam's Cap should have had a trilogy where he set up the ground level stuff, like the new Young Avengers. Like it should have been like Sam's Cap, one like coinciding becoming Captain America, right? Like all of that. Like I think Falcon and Winter Soldier could have been like wrapped up in that, right? Like maybe not its own movie, but like a part of this trilogy of stories of Sam's Cap that like set up the ground level stuff. So like Fantastic Four would be dealing with the multiverse. Cap's trilogy would be dealing with like the like ground level, like New York stuff. And then honestly, like maybe like the Eternals. Don't crucify me. I know the Eternals is just like for some unholy reason hated. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't understand the hate for it. Which
and I think that they could have been the Guardians.
The Guardians, the space, the space movie. They'd be the ones that would handle the stuff in space.
And also like not just space, but like things from the beginning of time, things that like would lead into the multiverse, like the Celestials, Arishem, like this intricate system that the universe has.
And they set up a lot of this and then just scrapped it. They just got rid of it entirely.
I think that those 3 should have been trilogies that would have like led into movies like Shang-Chi. Like I think that there should have been a sequel to Shang-Chi before where we're at. Like I just feel like they had this lovely scaffolding through the Infinity Saga that in for this they completely just like disregarded. Like you said, like
Mhm.
there's no sequels, dude. There's only either sequels to things from before, like Wakanda Forever and like maybe
Thor:
like
Love and
like
Thunder.
Thor: Love and Thunder, the Marvels,
Hmm.
or there's just solo projects. Like that's not how you just did it.
And I will say most of the solo projects and introductions of characters are all television shows, which is interesting because it is a longer format. It allows for more depth for introduction of characters, but they didn't take their time with any of them, so most of them fell short.
Yeah.
Like only a few of them, in my
Like
opinion,
not
really
even
hit.
that many of them introduced that many characters.
No.
Like Moon Knight did, but like Moon Knight hasn't been used. So like for all intents and purposes, that was just like a solo nothing. Like
Hmm. And do they have any plans to use him? Who knows?
right,
Like,
like I don't know. So like going along with that, I think that after Endgame and Loki, the movie should have been the Fantastic Four movie should have been Reed noticing the multiversal war between the kings, right? Like I think that what would have been dope because like another thing, not to go on a side tangent, but another thing that fans ruined, in my opinion, was this Fantastic Four conceptualization. I liked the movie. I actually loved the movie.
mhm.
But like I think the fact that they felt like they had to be from another universe that they couldn't explain, like that people were like, "Where the Fantastic Four been? You're gonna have to explain where the Fantastic Four been, otherwise we're gonna be unhappy." Like they can't have been around because we're not gonna accept that. So like they like pigeonholed themselves into like having to make them from like a separate universe, which I understand that kind of made sense within the whole multiversal arc of things.
And because they it allowed them to have them not do another origin or have them be young. I'm a certain the
Yes, I
studio
get that.
bigwigs and the money grubby
But
people were like, we don't want another failure.
they
Yeah,
didn't even do a multiversal thing in their movie. Like they didn't even really touch on the multiverse in
yeah.
that movie. Like they touched on a whole lot of other stuff, but they didn't like connect us to the Fantastic Four. Like I think that honestly was kind of lazy. Like I think that there was a lot of different ways that like they could
Like
have brought the Fantastic Four into our world.
like Kang could have been manipulating things to keep certain people from existing, which would also explain why like mutants haven't existed.
Dude,
You know,
Kang could have been like before the acts of Loki. The reason there was no Reed is because Kang was keeping there from being Reeds across the multiverse, keeping Victor Von Dooms from existing,
mutants in
keeping
general because
these
they're too random.
mutants, like these people who would have threatened his like rise to power, specifically like Reed and Doom,
Hmm.
like that. Like once Loki did what he does and starts the Kang multiversal war, it also inadvertently releases an infinite amount of Reeds out into the
And they've
multiverse, an
always
infinite amount of
existed.
Von Dooms out. Right, because that's how they've
That's
already
how it
set up
works.
that that's how it works. That once a timeline changes, that's just how it always was. Boom, Reed. And like
Without having to be from another universe.
and also like that would be a sweet segue to a council of Reeds.
Oof. Oh,
Like
yes.
you know what I mean? Like
Where they already
kind
showed
of like
too
what
that
Kang
like
says, like the second this happens, like everything will have like been like the war is gonna like start, like and it will have been started.
yeah, raging
Like
forever.
the same would go for like the Reeds and the Dooms that were like released out into the multiverse. That's just one idea, dude, that just came out of two numbskulls like in 30 seconds, bro.
It
Like
can't be it can't be that these multi-million dollar companies don't want to spend the time coming up with it. They just don't have the money or whatever. Like it's
here's
just
another
it's
thing that I think would
laziness.
be super sick, dude. So like I think that like that first Fantastic Four movie, like I was saying, should have been Reed noticing the multiversal war between the kings, right? Because now he's like a person, he's existed, he's always existed. Maybe have him be like a young scientist that has been disregarded by the community. They can even show like that he tried to get a hold of Stark and people like Hank Pym, and like these other like prolific scientists in the community. But like either everyone was just busy being a superhero like Tony, or like kind of like in the real world where like it's super hard to get your ideas into like people in positions of power if you're just a regular person.
Especially if these ideas are really avant-garde, dealing with the multiverse
The
in a world where
multiverse.
that's not confirmed to be a thing, really. Like, besides
Yes.
the few people like Stephen Strange would know about it and stuff, but he's
Yes.
like magic users would. But in general, the
Uh,
scientific community would reject it.
so follow me here. This would be super interesting. So there's this like a young brilliant scientist that's completely disregarded by like his scientific community, and he like is brilliant, as we know. It's Reed, so he creates his own machinery, his own like equipment to like basically see the multiverse and test these things. So he notices the Kang, like maybe not the like
Well,
the
he
Kang,
notices the
or
anomalies.
something. He notices something going on in the multiverse, right? And in the background, Doom is also researching the multiverse, but like he has the funding, he has everything, right? He's also watching Reed, right, and seeing this desperate, brilliant young scientist that like is being disregarded, that nobody's giving him the funding, nobody's giving him this, nobody's giving him that. Doom going to Reed, being like, I will fund your research. I believe in your research. Like show him essentially a glimpse of what Doom's been researching. You know what I mean? Like look at like you're actually right. Giving like an obsessed scientist like Reed would be kind of like that like spark that like you're onto something, and then essentially feed that like need for him to go on this like rocket journey to the multiverse, like through Doom's like resources. Doom basically fund the mission that gives the Fantastic Four their powers, right?
Something
This like
goes
small
wrong.
with this small group,
What if
but
it
like in
what if this movie, real quick, I just had this thought for the first time. What if this movie happens concurrently with the snap, where they go into as they go into the on the mission trying to traverse the multiverse, Thanos snaps. And when
that's
they come
interesting.
back, it's a radically different world, or that's what causes the mission to go awry, is the fundamentals of the universe they just left changed as they were leaving it,
That's
and
interesting.
his calculations were thrown off, which caused
Yeah,
them to gain their powers. Because if
that's
this is
really
the
interesting.
first movie, it could very well just lead directly in from
I just like really
the end
love
of
the
that.
thought that like Reed would be like obsessed with discovering the multiverse
Hmm.
to the point where he would be morally gray, where he would be willing to like take this small team of people with him into this like total like pseudoscience rocket, like, and like do all these morally gray things because of his like need to prove himself as a scientist. Like Doom manipulating that because like maybe like Doom's intentions, whereas like Reed's intentions are to like save the multiverse, right?
Hmm.
Like he like thinks that something is gonna bad happen, and like he wants to prevent that from happening. Whereas like Doom's intentions is maybe like the thing he doesn't show Reed is that he like knows about Loki. You know, like he knows about a being, a god that is sitting with
The
like
Beyonders, even
this
like
this crazy level of power out in the universe, and he wants access to that when he's using Reed, you know, like to like get that access, whereas like Reed is doing things like semi altruistically, whereas like Doom is like manipulating that need of his.
and that would be the classic
You know,
break between Doom and Reed, when Reed finds out that, like,
are we
what you
cooking? Like,
I feel like this is good stuff, man. I feel like
I feel like this is better than what they did, where they went with Quantumania, you know, right? And now like Kang got sucked into that thing, and then they like didn't want to continue the path of this multiverse because fans were not showing out to movies. We were review bombing and like saying that like people didn't like Quantumania specifically.
which is, there are definitely some valid gripes with Quantumania. In my opinion, Kang was not one of them. Even if they
No,
recast Kang, it wouldn't have mattered because of the
I agree.
multiverse. They already
I agree.
showed that
But that's
John
the thing; they didn't want to
Krasinski and Pedro
recast.
Pascal
Yeah.
can play two different versions of the
Yes.
same character. There can be multiple versions
Yeah,
of
that's the
Kang
proof that they didn't want to continue the multiverse saga. It wasn't the whole Jonathan Majors thing. Like that obviously played a part, but like they already like, and when I say they, I mean like Marvel Studios and Disney were like already trying to move on from this multiverse saga because, like we said, like things weren't working out, fans weren't happy. We weren't giving them the level of patience that was necessary for them to set something up like this. They didn't follow their own blueprint to set something up like this. So like all these things were going wrong. And like I think we blamed it on Quantumania, right?
Yeah.
Where like I think it didn't necessarily deserve all of the hate that it got.
Which
But like
it's funny.
I
I feel
do
like
think that starting with something like this, starting with the next big thing, not like with an Ant-Man movie, like starting with like the Marvel's first family.
well, what's
Like,
crazy is like it technically
think that would have
started
been
with a bunch
huge.
of shows. You know, like they came out
True.
with 3 or 4 shows, which
I guess when I mean the movies, you know.
exactly, but like the movies, they weren't too bad in my opinion. Like we talked about, a lot of
I
people
agree.
hated on Eternals, but Eternals in my mind wasn't
I agree.
that bad. Shang-Chi, amazing movie. And then it went Multiverse of Madness, and people were like, "Ah, man, like, oh no, like."
They just didn't do well with the multiverse. Like when they
Mhm.
like things that involved the multiverse, they just slipped on, except for Loki season 1 and 2. Like it was like
Yeah.
exceptional work, and then just like shoddy work. Like again, like I think after Loki season 1 and season 2, like what they were doing with the multiverse, they should have piggybacked on that with the Fantastic Four, and like I think that would have been such a good way to like punch start the new saga, to give fans something super good right away that'll satiate us for a few years until they build and do the build.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And
Like Iron Man 1,
the other
like
thing,
satiated us enough
the
to
other
where they could like make some bad movies in between,
and it
and
wasn't
we
the
were
end of the
okay
world.
with it.
Yeah.
You know?
And the
Like
problem is that the definition of bad movies has like
true.
changed, and
Changed.
like Iron Man 3 being a bad movie, it doesn't compare to how bad some of the MCU projects have been, like
No.
She-Hulk and like, you
Thor
know,
Love and Thunder.
Thor Love and Thunder. It's like those movies are actually, or like that, especially Thor Love and Thunder. That's actually like a bad movie. Whereas even the worst movie, the Infinity War saga, had payoffs. It had things that were satisfied, things they had set up. And that is a big point that I'd like to make before we let you guys go, is that they didn't everything they set up at the beginning of the multiverse saga and at the end of the Infinity War saga had zero payoffs, which is what made the Infinity War saga what it was. It had these crazy payoffs that were set up. Vision coming out, like Paul Bettany's Vision was a 7-year buildup or whatever that they built up from Jarvis, him voicing Jarvis
Right.
in Iron Man 1, all
And
the
I
way to
mean, they
him
did
becoming
things like
Vision.
that, like big stuff like that, like Vision, right? And
And
then
then
they did it all the way down to the tiny little details. Like
mm-hmm.
the payoffs from the Infinity Saga, like it made it so that like it was worth watching every single movie because there was something that you would get out of it. Like as a fan, I was certain, like Marvel doesn't do things for no reason. We would say that to each
That
other
was our
all the
that
time.
was one of our
Like
catchphrases. Swear
like
to God.
we would
Like,
see something and be like, "Oh, like they don't do that for no reason. That's going to come back up." I no longer feel that way. One, because like we said earlier, there's no sequels to anything of these
and they
33
scrapped
freaking projects.
so many of the ideas
So many
entirely.
ideas like that, like they couldn't pay it off. Like I can think of 3 from Eternals. There was the Ebony Blade at the end
Mm-hmm.
that like is never going to get paid off with Blade, and like the Black Knight, like that already got like I don't know what the hell's going on with that.
Pretty
But I
much
think
she
the
just got,
Black Knight's been written out of Blade.
yeah, just has
Last I
gotten
heard,
disregarded. It's gone.
Erishim coming at the end of Eternals and saying that like he was going to come back. Like, is that ever happening again? They scrapped Eternals, so like.
Where is that follow up gonna be? And
And
randomly in
then
Doomsday?
One Direction guy,
Star
Star
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
What's up with that? as well. 3 from 1 movie, bro.
Yeah. It's truly unbelievable. Like
The bands, Shang-Chi's bands at the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, where they
yeah.
said that there's like a signal coming from his bands or from his like rings, and then Kamala's bands like being linked to that. All of that gone.
Maybe
What's
in
going on with that?
Doomsday that's
I hope
Doom
so, bro.
sending out a
I
signal.
hope so.
Like that
Hope so.
might be like there's still some hope for some payoffs. in Doomsday, but I think that it feels like Doomsday and Secret Wars are Infinity War and Endgame, right? That's their equivalencies, but there's no Avengers or Avengers Age of Ultron beforehand.
Yeah. Right.
Like there's nothing building
Yeah,
up
like
this
because
huge
that, like
thing.
that
Like
that beautiful scaffolding like isn't there. Like
it's
I
just a
don't know
giant flat
what
plane. I
like
don't
tell us if you agree with this.
Yeah.
Are we way off? Like are our ideas like way
Awful.
worse than what actually came out? Again, this is just like ideas of two buffooneresses like in a 30-minute like talk session. Like not much thought went into this. So
No.
if we can come up with this, I would hope the people with careers
And
and
millions of
and
dollars at their
and
disposal.
homes like based on these careers could make these ideas come to fruition. Are we crazy? Are we crazy?
And if you guys thought there was nothing wrong with the multiverse saga so far, you guys are the real crazy people.
That's crazy.
Get in our comments still. Please give
Let us know, please, so we can argue with you.
Yeah, give us a like, share, and subscribe at Hosts for Hire Podcast on all socials.
We will be eternally grateful to you. We are looking to hit that elusive 10K. We want it. We need it. We got to have it. Help us get there. We will love you for all of time.
Peace.